The conflict between the United States and Iran has evolved from a tense geopolitical rivalry into a prolonged and deeply consequential confrontation, reshaping both regional dynamics in the Middle East and internal realities within the United States. What initially appeared to be a swift and decisive military campaign has gradually transformed into a complex, costly, and uncertain engagement, one that is increasingly difficult to define, justify, or conclude.
In its early phase, the operation was framed as a targeted and strategic effort. Officials projected confidence, emphasizing precision strikes, rapid execution, and overwhelming military superiority. The narrative suggested that Iran's ability to project power would be significantly weakened without dragging the United States into a prolonged entanglement.
However, as time passed, this expectation began to diverge sharply from reality. Weeks turned into months, and the conflict intensified rather than subsided. Resistance from Iran and its affiliated networks grew more coordinated and persistent. Instead of decisive victories, the United States found itself navigating an increasingly unpredictable battlefield marked by asymmetric warfare and constant threats. One of the most visible indicators of this shift has been the rise in American casualties. Early reports suggested limited losses, reinforcing the perception of a controlled and manageable operation. But updated figures painted a more sobering picture. At least 13 American service members have been confirmed killed, while more than 400 have been wounded. These numbers represent more than statistics. They reflect lives lost, families impacted, and communities shaken. Injuries range from minor wounds to life-altering conditions requiring long-term care. The human cost of the conflict has become increasingly central to public debate, particularly as conflicting narratives circulate online. Some claims suggest far higher casualty figures, though these remain unverified. Still, their persistence underscores a growing climate of uncertainty and mistrust. The nature of these casualties reveals a deeper transformation in how the conflict is being fought. Rather than engaging in large-scale conventional battles, Iran has leaned heavily into asymmetric strategies. Drone strikes, missile attacks, and proxy operations have become key tools, allowing Iran to exert pressure without direct confrontation. American bases across the region, including those in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Bahrain, have faced repeated threats. Some installations have been directly targeted, sustaining damage that required immediate operational adjustments. Personnel relocations and redeployments have become routine, highlighting the fluid and volatile nature of the battlefield. In response, the United States has expanded its military footprint. Approximately 50,000 troops are now involved in operations linked to the conflict, signaling both the scale of the challenge and the determination to maintain strategic pressure. However, this buildup raises pressing questions about sustainability. Maintaining such a large deployment requires extensive logistical support and significant financial resources. As costs continue to rise, concerns are mounting about how long this level of engagement can be sustained without broader consequences. Despite these challenges, political leadership in Washington has maintained a tone of confidence. Donald Trump has repeatedly defended the war effort, framing it as both necessary and successful. He said, "I am winning war by a lot." This statement reflects the administration's broader narrative, one that emphasizes military achievements while downplaying the mounting costs. Supporters argue that sustained pressure is essential to weaken Iran's capabilities and ensure long-term stability. From this perspective, the sacrifices being made are seen as part of a larger strategic objective. Critics, however, present a starkly different view. They argue that the administration's portrayal of the conflict is overly optimistic and fails to capture the complexities on the ground. Rising casualties combined with the absence of a clear endgame have led many to question whether the United States is entering a prolonged and potentially unwinnable conflict. This debate extends beyond political circles into the broader public. As more details emerge about the human and financial costs, skepticism is growing. Families of service members in particular are seeking answers, demanding accountability and clarity from those in power. Internationally, the conflict has triggered widespread concern. Global leaders and organizations have called for restraint, warning that continued escalation could have far-reaching consequences. The humanitarian and economic implications are becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. One of the most critical areas of concern is the Strait of Hormuz, a vital artery for global oil supply. Tensions in this region have introduced significant volatility into energy markets. Oil prices fluctuate in response to developments, creating ripple effects across the global economy. Supply chains have also been disrupted. Increased security risks and higher insurance costs have complicated shipping routes, leading to delays and rising costs for goods. Businesses and consumers alike are feeling the impact from higher fuel prices to broader inflationary pressures. Within the United States, the financial burden of the war is becoming a central issue. Sustaining military operations on this scale requires vast funding, covering personnel, equipment, and logistics. As expenses grow, scrutiny over resource allocation is intensifying. Political divisions in Congress reflect this tension. Some lawmakers advocate for greater oversight and limitations on war powers, while others emphasize the need for unity and strength. These debates highlight deeper questions about America's role on the global stage and the use of military force as a tool of policy. Meanwhile, the human toll extends far beyond American casualties. In Iran, the impact has been severe. Thousands have reportedly been killed, and infrastructure has suffered significant damage. Civilian populations face displacement, economic hardship, and limited access to essential services. Humanitarian concerns are becoming increasingly prominent. Aid organizations struggle to operate in conflict zones due to security risks and logistical challenges. There are growing fears that further escalation could trigger a broader regional crisis. Iran's strategy has combined military action with strategic messaging. The country has sought to project resilience and defiance, emphasizing its ability to withstand external pressure. Through a mix of direct attacks and proxy operations, Iran continues to challenge U.S. forces and extend its influence. This has created a conflict that defies traditional definitions of warfare. There are no clear front lines or decisive battles. Instead, the war is characterized by continuous low-intensity engagements, each carrying its own risks and consequences. For analysts, this raises a fundamental question: what constitutes success? Tactical victories on the battlefield do not necessarily translate into strategic gains. While the United States may achieve specific objectives, broader goals such as long-term stability remain elusive. At the same time, the strain on U.S. military resources is becoming more evident. Extended deployments affect morale and readiness. Equipment must be maintained and replenished, adding to logistical challenges. These pressures underscore the complexity of sustaining a long-term military campaign. Politically, the stakes continue to rise. As casualties increase and costs mount, pressure on leadership intensifies. Public opinion can shift quickly, and maintaining support requires both transparency and tangible results. For President Trump, the conflict represents both an opportunity and a risk. A favorable outcome could reinforce his image as a decisive leader.
But a prolonged and costly war could undermine that narrative, exposing vulnerabilities and fueling criticism. Ultimately, the central question is not just whether the United States can win, but what winning actually means. Is it defined by weakening Iran's military capabilities, by reshaping regional power dynamics, or by achieving a negotiated settlement? There are no simple answers.
Modern conflicts are shaped by a complex interplay of military, political, and economic factors. Success is not always clear-cut, and outcomes often remain uncertain until long after the fighting ends. As the war continues, the stakes remain high. Each new development has the potential to shift the trajectory of the conflict. Decisions made in the coming months will play a critical role in determining its outcome and its legacy. For now, the conflict persists, marked by uncertainty and escalating costs. Lives are being lost, resources are being consumed, and global stability hangs in the balance. In this environment, the need for clarity, accountability, and strategic vision has never been more urgent.